Yeah, it's like I've been telling people for years. I'm an extremely powerful sorcerer. Hello and welcome back to the Plugged In Podcast, a weekly news show all about the future of transportation. I'm Patrick George, editor-in-chief of InsideEVs.
And I'm Tim Levin, senior editor at InsideEVs. On this week's show, the EV market hit its hangover era in October. Rivian dropped some new details about the R2 ahead of its launch next year, plus a new robotics venture. And the Tesla Roadster is coming. For real this time, actually. We'll see about that. But first, Patrick, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Tim, I'm good. I'm powering through the week. You got something way more exciting coming up than I do. You're off to Spain in a little bit to drive the new BMW iX3, right?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about that. We've seen like the prototype of that. We've seen it just static. Like you went and just checked it out, but now we finally get to drive it. And what better place to do that than the southern coast of Spain? So
That's
yeah,
what
I'm
I
looking
always
forward
say.
to that. That's where I try to
Yeah,
drive all my cars.
yeah. It's funny, these automakers. They always pick these like exotic locales for these things, and it's like you could also just loan it to me for a week in New York, and I'd get the same out of it. But enjoy Spain. I'll send you my wine list for shopping before you go. But since you got a flight to catch, let's get right down into it. Right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So September was the last full month of the EV tax credit in America, and as we've covered here before extensively, that caused a lot of people to rush to their dealerships or to the Tesla or Rivian website to buy an EV before they lost that sweet $7,500 discount.
Yeah, it was quite the party in September, wasn't it? And like any good party, here comes the hangover in October. Actually, I should stop saying that. Like I'm old enough now that it's like if I never get a hangover ever again, like I'll look back at that when I'm like 85 and about to die. I'm like, job well done, dude. You dodged that bullet forever. But you get the metaphor. Anyway, we have some preliminary numbers about EV sales, right? And they're not amazing.
No, they're not. So a couple of the big research firms that we look to estimated that October's EV market share in the U.S. plummeted to around 5%. From a record high of over 12% in September. It's also down year over year from 8% down to that 5%. So most automakers don't publish monthly sales data, so we don't know kind of exactly how this shook out on a automaker by automaker basis, but we do know that some of those big cars, some of those big car companies that we look at did see some big declines in the month.
Yeah, a bunch of them switched to quarterly reporting a few years ago, so we're really not going to know what's up until the end of this year. But so far, like, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so we do know the results from the Hyundai Motor Group, which makes some of our favorite EVs around, Kia EV6, Hyundai Ioniq 5. The Ioniq 5, which was one of the top 5 best-selling EVs of the entire year, experienced a 63% sales drop year over year, moving 1,600 units in October. The Kia EV6 did even worse than that. Kia sold just 508 of them in October. And then same kind of stuff goes for the kind of big boys in that lineup. The Ioniq 9 did just 317 sales in October, and the EV9 went down to 666. So across the board, it's not looking great in October for these EVs.
Fittingly spooky result for the EV9 there at the end of October, right? And
Yeah.
I also saw, like, we have a few other numbers, like Honda only sold about 800 Prologues in October after it was like doing pretty well last year and then most of this one, right?
Yeah, the Honda Prologue was doing super well, but considering that a lot of those sales were based on these crazy lease deals that Honda was offering, and also the fact that they just canceled the Acura ZDX, which is based on the same GM platform, who knows, honestly, how long that Prologue will actually be around.
Yeah, that's kind of the other unfortunate consequence of all this. Like more and more of these car companies are like canceling cars or like postponing them indefinitely. I just use air
Yeah.
quotes if you're listening to this. Yeah, the Kia EV4 was one of those, as InsideEVs first reported last week. And that was supposed to be this sub $40,000 electric sedan with a Tesla plug and over 300 miles of range. Now it's due to be nothing at all. because it's been quote unquote postponed. And
Yeah.
that's also made in South Korea. And that news came out the same day that the US finally reached its trade deal with South Korea. So like, I think they were waiting to see how like the tariff situation netted out. And between tariffs on South Korean cars being higher than they were a year ago and, no tax credit now, it didn't make sense for Kia to make and sell this cheaper EV sedan in America, which sucks. Like I was actually thinking of buying one when my EV6 lease is up. Honestly, I was really excited about that thing.
I feel like all the cars that you think about buying get canceled. You should just stop. Or it's like the Volvo EX30, the cheap one. You should stop. I think you're cursed.
Yeah, it's like I've been telling people for years. I'm an extremely powerful sorcerer, and anything I like just gets canceled because of complicated trade policy reasons. No, that's not all. We a little bit less of a bummer, I guess, as this wasn't the most exciting thing around. But we know the Nissan Ariya got canceled, postponed for similar reasons, and over the last year, a couple other import models did too. A few months ago, like the Volkswagen ID7 was another one, which is a bummer because that's a really cool electric sedan, but also like I get why they didn't think people would buy that here. So yeah, a lot of EV models are also being pushed back or turned into hybrids. There's this kind of this like a bit of a like retooling of what they thought the plan would be, and all this after all this growth, like stuff is kind of cooling off. And I have thoughts about why that is, but Tim, let's start with you. What's on your mind in this situation?
Yeah, I do have some thoughts. I think we should talk a little bit about the 5% number that we mentioned earlier in the show. This is 5% of new vehicle sales in October were EVs, down from that over 12% in the record September. And I think that can sound really scary, but it's kind of not as scary as it looks. I mean, the fact that a lot of these were pull ahead, right? So the fact that the EV tax credit was ending meant that September, the months before that, stole all these sales from October, November, December, January. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that like overall EV demand, overall appetite for electric cars in America just like dropped by half because of the tax credit, right? It's because people who would have bought cars later decided to buy them earlier. So we still don't really know exactly where that market share is going to level out, right? Like over the next few months.
And by how long?
People like the question is, how long does that pull ahead factor, that pull ahead impact actually last? Like if we fast forward to January, February, March next year, like it'll probably be above 5%. It may not be 12%, but market share will definitely grow. It's not just going to like stay at 5 or keep dropping after that.
Yeah, and important to know also, like I could see a lot of year-end deals on these cars. They're trying to clear them out, the 25s, early 26s. Like that happens every year. So like they're probably still going to be deals around Christmas and New Year's for these things. And very quickly, like a lot of car companies are also adjusting their prices too. Like the 2026 Ioniq 5, like the base model now starts at 35 grand, agnostic of any tax credits. Like that's an insane deal. So like we are going to see some price adjustments for the ones that can sort of absorb that. So I think that, that's going to help things. That's kind of a good segue to what I want to talk about here, which is that in my mind, like the broader issue for all of this, it's an affordability issue.
Yeah.
And I think when you consider like the election results that happened this past week in America, like affordability period is on a lot of people's minds. The average new car in America is at or around $50,000 now. It's like 47 to 50 grand, depending on who you ask, which is, considerably higher than it was 5 years ago, and has outpaced inflation too. The tax credits were enticing, I think, because they made cars cheaper. Like, I don't think everyone who bought a Honda Prologue for $229 a month was like deeply passionate about Honda's path to electric mobility. Like a lot of these people did it because that's where the deals were. I've met people at like DC fast charging stations like, oh, I like your Blazer EV. It's like, I've never owned an EV. Like this was the cheapest one, and it's great. And that was kind of the plan. Like this stuff did get people excited about going electric. It got people into them. It got people thinking about it. Got them wanting more charging and buying charging for their homes. And like study after study shows that people don't really go back to gas cars once they go electric. So this is the problem with losing the tax credit and cars becoming more expensive, and also tariffs, which, make the price of goods go up and kind of make broader economic conditions. People get nervous. There's less employment, so on. Those last two things get left out of this conversation a lot. It's always like, oh, God, EV sales down, electric car bad. No one wants electric cars anymore. It's like, no, this is an economic issue. It's part of an economic issue and an affordability crisis in this country. And like, we're really going to see it take root, I think, now that these like subsidized deals are gone.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. I think any car can sell at the right price, right? A lot
Yeah.
of this is in the hands of, yeah, government subsidies, but also in the hands of the car companies to say, okay, we're going to keep selling this Honda Prologue, or in Hyundai's case, this is exactly what they're doing, right? We're going to keep selling the Ioniq 5. We just know that we have to bring the price down in order to get people to buy it. Like, there is a lot of focus on people's fears around charging infrastructure and range and, just like getting used to the idea of living with an electric car. But a huge, huge part of it that probably honestly doesn't get talked about enough is just the fact they're too expensive. Like we've
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
in other countries, you look at Norway or you look at China, these places where EVs have completely taken off and like are
Yeah.
now making up a majority or like a super majority of sales. That starts to happen when EVs hit price parity with gas cars. Like you give people an option that's electric and gas, and the electric one costs just about as much or a little bit less. And a lot of people choose that electric option. So yeah, I think it very much is an economics issue, maybe even more than it is like okay, do people like EVs issue, right?
Yeah, totally. And like our man Kevin Williams, he's in China right now, and is with an event with Xpeng. He'll be back to talk about that later this week. But he had kind of a free day off and went to some dealerships and malls like he does in China. This is what he likes to go check out when he's in China. He goes and sees more cars. He's posting stuff on his social media accounts about like, look at these super cheap hatchbacks that are like the equivalent like 20, 25, 30 grand. They're really, really good. They're better than the cars we have here. And these posts were kind of blowing up, and like people who some were mad that we don't have these choices, right? And one person said very sarcastically, no, the future, what people really want is gas pickup trucks that cost $60,000. Like, no, and this stuff is coming to a head soon. And I think this, like, my mind goes back to like why this market needs to shift in this more affordable direction. That's what kind of sucks about like losing cars like the Kia EV4. But like someone's got to figure out how to make this sector and even gas cars, I'd argue too, just more affordable for people.
Yeah, no, and it'll be really interesting to see how some of these do. Like we are losing some, like the EV4, that EX30. I'm sure there are others that I'm not thinking about right now, but like there's definitely the Tesla Model 2, which is like never, stillborn.
They could, I think they could have done that. I feel like if they wanted
Yeah,
to, but they're
no,
doing like
totally.
robots and stuff instead or whatever. Yeah.
But like we have other ones that are coming. The Chevy
Yeah.
Bolt, coming early next year. The Nissan Leaf just launched. These are both around 30 grand. Slate truck, Ford truck, 25, 30 grand coming the next couple of years. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how well those do. And that'll be the real test of like, okay, is the market slowdown about people don't want EVs as much as we thought they did? Or is it really more about affordability? And like, if you give somebody an option that they can actually afford, will they buy it? And I have a strong suspicion it's going to be the latter. We'll see. I think the other thing to note is like, we talk a lot about demand. We talk a lot about the perspective from the consumer side of like, do I like this car? Can I afford it? I think it's really important to remember that the automakers have a lot of power here, especially now that the policies are gone, tax credits are gone, the regulations are gone. Where sales go in the future, where market share goes over the next 6 months, year, 18 months, is going to have a lot. It's going to probably have mostly to do like, okay, how much does GM or Ford or Hyundai want to sell these cars? How many do they want to sell? Because
Yeah.
they have the power to push them to people. People only buy what is presented to them, what is at the dealership.
Yeah, and it's like I think this whole car industry has been traded over the last few years. Like where you're really going to focus is the expensive stuff, and you win on profit margins, not volume. And I don't know how much long that's going to last. Yeah, I don't see the space going anywhere long term. I mean, certainly not electrification. Like, just very briefly, like Hyundai had a great month for hybrid sales. Like Toyota is very much sitting pretty on hybrid sales. Like
Yeah.
the trend of electrification is not going anywhere. I think it's probably the end of the $50,000 EV. That's a shitty deal. And also, like, now you have about 6.5 million registered EVs on US roads. Like, I don't see all those owners going back to gas. Like, somebody someday is going to have to be ready to serve them when they need a new car.
And that brings us to Rivian, which reported earnings on Tuesday, announcing a net loss of $1.1 billion and its second quarter of gross profit this year. But that wasn't all. We also got some juicy details about the upcoming R2 and Rivian's new entry into robotics. Apparently, RJ is taking a page out of the Elon Musk playbook with that one.
I was kind of hoping they'd show off like a humanoid. It's like just Optimus, but with the Rivian like oval headlights. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of what I wanted. Just like Elon is just like seething somewhere in his dungeon that he has or whatever. That would have been funny. That was the image in my mind palace. Yeah,
It's just Optimus, but like nicer,
yeah,
nicer to
yeah.
people.
It's like nicer. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not weird. Yeah,
not evil or weird.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's start. We'll get to the robotic stuff. Let's start with the R2. This is Rivian's mass market, mainstream, small crossover coming next year. It's supposed to be priced at $45,000, and this is what everybody's looking to Rivian to be its, Tesla Model Y moment, right? That really puts it into the mainstream. Costs about half as much as Rivian's current vehicles, the R1S and
Yeah.
R1T, which we love, but are really expensive. So understandably, a lot of people are really excited about this. I know I am one of at least a few people on our staff who has a deposit down on one of these things. We'll see if I end up, speaking of affordability, will I spend $45,000 on a new car next year? Probably not.
It
but
depends on the lease deals, doesn't it? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we learned about the R2 launch edition on the Rivian earnings call this week. You wrote that story, Patrick. So tell us, what do we know about the R2 that we didn't know before?
Yeah, a couple nuggets here. RJ Scaringe talked about the launch edition R2, the first one you'll be able to buy come out of the gate, if you're a reservation holder first. Analyst asked RJ if it's going to be the most expensive version. He said it's sort of the Goldilocks trim, actually. It'll be dual motor, all-wheel drive. So these would be single, dual, and tri-motor.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't sound like they're going to launch with the most expensive one or the cheapest, but like a nice and pretty accessible a trim and price for the R2, which is cool to hear.
Yeah, no, and RJ described this as kind of the classic conundrum. He said they've been thinking a lot about this. And yeah, generally car companies, especially with these new EVs, they come out with the most expensive version first, right? And that makes a lot of sense, especially for a company like Rivian. They lost $1 billion last quarter, so
Yeah.
they kind of have an incentive to start making money. And the easiest way to do that is when you have thousands and thousands of these reservation holders clamoring for an R2, you start with a really expensive one and, start to get that money on your books. But good news, if you have an R2 reservation, there you go. It won't be the most expensive one that's right out of the gate. I'm going to bet if the base price is 45 for a single motor version, I'm going to guess that this launch edition one's probably going to be more like somewhere between 50 and 60 grand, maybe 55 grand.
If they're smart, they'll do it at 50 because then they can hide behind and I think this is still too high personally, but the average new car price, they could sort of hide behind that. My fear was always they'd pull a Tesla move, we said 45 for years, but that's for the R2 standard model that has 100 miles of range and cloth seats, and we're only making it for 6 months. Yeah, and 3 wheels. Yeah, you have to bring your fourth wheel yourself. You have to provide it. But no, this is cool to hear. When do you remember when the Tesla Cybertruck launched, the Foundation series, that was $100 grand to start, and they are much cheaper now if anybody still wants one.
Yeah, bad example, because I think a lot more people are going to want an R2 than ended up wanting a Cybertruck. But yeah, there you go. This week, Rivian also shared that the R2 will get vehicle-to-home capability, so you'll be able to send power to your home during an emergency. And that's not all. Rivian also announced that it is getting into the robotics game. This was something nobody expected. This is Rivian's second spin-off company this year, after also the micro-mobility company that we talked about a couple weeks ago that's making e-bikes. So Rivian announced that it created a separate company called Mind Robotics with $110 million in seed capital. Rivian is also a shareholder and a partner of this company. And according to Rivian's announcement, it will develop advanced AI robotics that will be focused on industrial applications. Right now, everything is a little bit wishy-washy in general. We don't know exactly what they're working on, but RJ did say on the earnings call that it's going to be manufacturing equipment that will be used in Rivian factories, but also robotics for other industrial customers. So, I mean, what are your thoughts here, Patrick? I know GM also announced some robotics news not too long ago at that event that you were at.
Yeah, the car companies are getting into the robot game in a big way. There was the GM Forward event that I was at in New York City. They talked about this, and they were pretty explicit. They're not going to be humanoid robots. Like, they're developing like more advanced like helper robots in factories and labs. These ones kind of look like a humanoid-ish arm doing stuff. Like, I stand by my theory that like if General Motors announced a humanoid robot, that like the UAW would show up tomorrow, like Sean Fain in one of his like Malcolm X quote t-shirts he has, like that would be a thing. That's a headache they don't need. But they're not alone in this. And like, again, Kevin is in China, is with Xpeng, and they're doing a lot of stuff on robots. Like, they were showing off humanoid robots in male and female form. He showed me the photos. I'm gonna admit the latter is a little yes, it's a little unnerving to see, but like a bunch of Chinese OEMs are getting into this too. And it's like, okay, we're already investing in autonomy, we're already investing in AI. These are the greatest manufacturing operations on earth, because they are. There's no reason that they couldn't position themselves as like, we're going to be the one to bring you robotics at scale. And just as a quick aside, like, I do think for a lot of these car makers, like, that are not seen or valued very highly on Wall Street, perhaps like positioning themselves as a robot makers is a way to juice their stock price for a lot of these companies that really haven't seen a lot of movement in over a decade. So it's a plausible future play, but I also think it's like a get investors excited about the future play too.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a coincidence that this GM Tech Day happened like right after, the whole EV market like took a shit, right? Like they announced like they announced the robots.
We tried that battery thing, but we're doing robots now. Look.
Yeah. I don't think it's as cynical as that, but like it does help to kind of have some positive news after the whole EV stuff kind of starts to not be working out as well. And yeah, of course, Tesla's also working on that stuff too, right? With the Optimus robot. Tesla says this is going to be like its entire business moving forward. We'll see about that. We don't actually know whether these Rivian robots will be humanoid. I feel like they probably would have said that if that were the case. But yeah, like you said, Rivian says that it's already developing autonomous systems for cars, and it kind of sees synergies, it says, in developing AI for other physical, like real world applications. Yeah. And maybe they're right. The basic thing is, like, RJ also said, he was pressed about this on the call, and he was like, we wanted to control the future of manufacturing equipment in factories, right? We wanted to, like, we know that this kind of stuff is going to be more automated. It's going to be more AI driven. And like, we wanted to have a hand in developing that. And that makes some sense. I'm eager to see what they actually come up with.
Yeah. Super interesting. We'll all be reviewing robots instead of cars in like 10 years, the new Mazda robot, the new Rivian robot. It'll be great. It's super interesting to see where this goes. I think like last few weeks I've started hearing that term, like physical AI. They call that, which is kind of wild. That's like literally that. It's like AI powered robotics. So expect to hear more of this, including from the company that, like, to its credit, I think came up with the idea for all this stuff. Now it seems like there are other ones that are actually maybe trying to do it, but like, let's circle back to Tesla and its dreams for whatever is next.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, speaking of Tesla, the Tesla Roadster is making headlines again, like it's 2018. Do you remember I wasn't actually working in this industry. I was a civilian when this happened, but do you remember when the Tesla Roadster was first revealed?
That's weird. I actually don't. Like, I definitely remember the Cybertruck. A man
Yeah.
doesn't forget when he first sees things like that. But I don't really recall what event they even showed off the Roadster at.
Yeah, it was late 2017. It was at the event ostensibly for the semi, and then they brought
Hmm.
out the Roadster as this kind of like
Yeah.
one more thing moment. It was a much simpler time for Tesla. It was like before I feel like they were known for missing all these deadlines. They weren't even the like meme stock Tesla that we have today. They were just this really exciting new car company that I was really taken by
Yeah.
back then. And I mean, obviously still like I'm still super impressed by what Tesla does, but
Yeah. Back then, like Model 3 was either coming out or like just starting to
just
come
came out.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So much
Right.
more interesting, optimistic time for them.
Yeah, definitely. I remember being pretty stunned by this event. Like I think I watched it or I watched a recap of it. You know, the second generation Tesla Roadster, the supercar was supposed to do 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds,
Yeah.
have 620 miles of range, which like still no car has today, 4 seats, and it was supposed to all come in 2020. I was really excited about this, and I probably should have like, put my money where my mouth was and bought some Tesla stock. I'd probably be like in Cabo right now instead of sitting here with you.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I or Business Insider would have made you sell that stock anyway, but it wouldn't have
Yeah,
been your problem
definitely.
because you'd be in Cabo. So,
Yes,
yeah, the
exactly.
joke's on me and the editors of Business Insider. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd just be on Twitter, just like pumping Tesla stock.
yeah. I sorry that didn't happen for you, Tim. What a dream.
Yeah, what a career. No, then the Roadster got delayed year after year after year. It was supposed to come in 2020, then 2021, 2022, and it is still not coming in 2025. And now it's back in the news. Elon Musk is saying there will be a Roadster demonstration in the next couple of months. And he heavily suggested on Joe Rogan's podcast that it will fly. He said it has crazy technology and that his friend Peter Thiel, wants a flying car. And so a flying car he shall get.
Well, if Peter
And
Thiel wants a flying car, I mean, I've always thought the man deserves.
who are we to deny him one?
Yeah, he deserves everything that's coming
Yeah.
to him. I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's worth mentioning. This news is a few days old now, but all this talk of the Roadster came after OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, who's also like the like sworn enemy, arch nemesis now of Elon Musk, posted screenshots on X of him trying to cancel his Roadster reservation, which he made like 7 years ago, trying to get back the $50,000 that it cost people to reserve a Tesla Roadster if they wanted one of the first ones. He did end up getting his money back, Musk said. But yeah, so that's why we're talking about the Roadster.
I also just love that this is like a war of words between these two billionaires for whom like 50 grand is like that's like money that Sam Altman like left in his jeans one day. Like it's just the funniest, pettiest thing ever. And I'm
Yeah.
like nearly certain that's why there's Roadster news now. It's like because we know how like much Elon Musk seethes at OpenAI and Sam Altman. He's like, "Oh, you didn't get your Roadster? You didn't get your Roadster? I'll show you. I'll give you a Roadster. And it's gonna fly
Yeah.
too. And Peter Thiel's gonna get it first, not you." Like, and also in his dungeon, just seething.
Yeah.
posting.
Back of the line, Altman.
Back of the line.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I mean, Sam Altman, wipes his ass with 50 grand. I don't think it's about the money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I mean, personally, like I am very tired of this Roadster talk. If you've been following this, for a while, he's been saying this Roadster will hover short distances kind of stuff for years and years.
SpaceX rockets. Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be the SpaceX package on the Roadster apparently that adds rockets. Yeah, it's just like it's kind of a symptom of like the Roadster has taken so long to get here that I feel like they just keep having to add more and more and more hype to it to keep it relevant, to show people that like they're still working on it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Roadster, Patrick? I mean, what this kind of whole news cycle got me thinking about is like we forget about the Roadster all the time, and
Yeah.
it kind of reminded me like how dumb it is, personally, in my opinion, that Tesla is even still working on a $200,000 supercar when it has kind of a lot of other fish to fry. I mean, what do you think about this?
Yeah, like a few things. Like I do think that's a great design for that vehicle. I've always thought that. I think it's like the best looking concept they've ever designed. Just a fantastic sports car, shape. Um, there are aspects of this that like maybe they could have pulled off. Honestly, when you talk about like Tesla and its scale in the battery space and its expertise around these things, it's like if they wanted to do like a supercar that did 0 to 60 in like well under 3 seconds, I think they could have pulled it off. 620 miles of range. That's like comically optimistic, but like, okay, if you have a small design, it's aerodynamic, lightweight, good battery tech, like you could have done something like that, maybe like north of 500, like, lucid gravity or I'm sorry, like lucid air kind of thing. Like they could have done something with it. But yes, it is irrelevant sounding now. And it feels like kind of the same old tricks to juice the stock price and like certainly get the vote out, which, we're not gonna have time to cover this week about, him trying to secure this $1 trillion pay package and getting his retail shareholders and his big institutional investors to put faith in him. And I think that this is just kind of an old school ploy to do that and maybe snub Sam Altman at the same time. So I don't know, maybe too little too late with this thing.
Yeah, no, so the votes, as we record this, the shareholder vote is happening tomorrow on Thursday. So we don't actually know the results yet. In all likelihood, he'll probably win. I mean, it'll be a referendum on like whether the shareholders like this kind of vision, right? The robo-taxis, the Roadster, whatever.
Flying cars,
I think
etc.
flying cars. Yeah, no, I think you're right that it does feel like too little too late. I think in 2020, could Tesla have used like a brand defining like halo supercar that just like absolutely kicked the shit out of like Bugattis and Porsches?
Yeah, it would be cool. Yeah.
Definitely. I think so. That would have been really cool. That would have like really helped to put Tesla on the map. Now Tesla's on the map and electric cars are on the map, and Tesla already has a very expensive high-tech flagship that it doesn't like make a lot of money on and that not a lot of people buy, and that's called the Cybertruck, right? I don't see why they would continue investing money in a vehicle that is at best, a halo car. It's a branding exercise, right? It's not something that actually drives a lot of sales or a lot of revenue or a lot of profits. So
you could maybe do like supercar grade margins on that, which is kind of like the whole business model for like Ferrari and stuff.
Ferrari, yeah.
Like how much does that matter to them at this point with everything else they're doing? Like that's got to be salad dressing if they do that. If right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's just like, I don't know. They have limited resources, right? And they've decided to direct those resources to robotaxis and to robots. And they've said, we're not really developing new regular cars. And yet they're spending probably a lot of money developing like what they say is going to be the most amazing flying car ever. So, I just think Tesla probably needs pretty much anything but this. Any car that's but this would be probably a better choice in terms of like sustainable actual growth of their car business.
Yeah, the $25,000, the $30,000 long promised like sub Model 3, Model Y, like that's what should have happened. And I think if that had happened, like everyone, including us, would be like shutting up right now. It's like, okay, you definitely have the product that will pay for the robot army of the future, whatever. If you make like the Toyota Corolla of EVs and it's really good. But now the way we're going, like Toyota's going to beat them to market with the Toyota Corolla of EVs. And like they also take their time on the stuff. So that kind of speaks volumes, Yeah. You think he's going to win? You think he's going to win on Thursday? We could what's Polymarket say? I think, I checked Polymarket this week, like the greatest predictor of anything in America. It was like 90% that Musk was going to get the pay package. What do you think?
Yeah, I was looking it up. I don't know the exact numbers. I know that a lot of these advisory firms and a lot of big pension funds have been saying they're going to, or have been advising or saying they're going to vote against it. Tesla also has this huge army of retail shareholders, of regular people who just own the stock. And who are really enthusiastic about it. So I have a feeling it'll pass. In the past,
Yeah.
whatever the Tesla board recommends in terms of these ballot measures tends to pass. So I'd be pretty shocked if it didn't. And if it doesn't, Musk says he might leave. So
Yeah.
we'd see kind of a whole different era for Tesla. But we'll
Yeah,
have to talk about that next week.
Need new CEO. I think you should do it. You should do it, Tim. You'd be great at it.
I already have a job.
Yeah. Maybe you double dip. He's CEO of a lot of companies,
Yeah, true.
All right, now it's time for Plus Minus, our segment where we talk about who's up and who's down the EV world. Tim, you had some sad news for me this week. So
I do.
Yeah.
Somber tone. No more smiles. My minus is KitKat, the beloved bodega cat that was reportedly killed by a Waymo in San Francisco last month. And Waymo has confirmed this. The Waymo said that, it expressed its condolences to the owner. And it also said that, yes, KitKat darted under the taxi as it was pulling away after picking up passengers. And I saw this news a few days ago and I was like, is this really news? But apparently it is, because this has sparked a debate apparently in San Francisco around the regulation of self-driving cars. And this is after there was this kind of discontent around Waymo in San Francisco, remember, and Cruise, people putting traffic cones on them. There was this whole protest
the depots
movement
where they're all they're traffic jamming some place to get in charge and stuff. Yeah.
But generally here in the Bay Area, they've kind of become an accepted part of daily life. People use them all the time. You see them everywhere in San Francisco. They generally keep to themselves and don't get into trouble. But now KitKat is sparking a debate. The San Francisco supervisor, which is basically kind of like city council or local government representing that district, introduced a resolution that would let counties vote on whether they want driverless cars in their communities. So we'll have to see if the plight of KitKat changes anything in San Francisco. Probably not.
That's so sad. R.I.P. to KitKat and to its owners. And honestly, if one of my dogs was killed by a Waymo, I'd just be like, I cannot believe that's how they went out. A Waymo is what did it. But no, you get the point, right? There's no guarantee a human driver would have seen poor KitKat or would have stopped. However, the idea is always this stuff has to be better than a human driver. It has to be 100% better than a person that does not make mistakes 100% of the time. And this is proof that, unfortunately, it's still not there yet. And, your mind goes to really dark stuff. What if that had been a child or something? Would it have caught it? I pray that's the case. But we'll see. We'll see how San Francisco reacts to this, because these questions are going to be asked across all these communities as Waymo expands very quickly. My plus this week, I wouldn't call it uplifting or positive or whatever, but it's mine's for Chinese automaker BYD, which continues to just grow very quickly in Europe. And kind of smoking Tesla there also. In the UK, BYD registered almost 7 times more new cars than Tesla did last month. So it's way surpassed. BYD's way surpassed Tesla in the United Kingdom. It's catching up very quickly in Germany, which is Europe's largest car market. But plus goes to BYD. They're just expanding really quickly. I think they're getting really good at figuring out what the locals want too. They've seen where others have made that mistake. It's like they have a K car in Japan now. They have a plug-in hybrid station wagon in Europe. It's I swear to God, the day BYD arrives in America, and I do believe that will happen someday, they will be smart enough that it's it's an F-150, or something like that. They've got really good. Yeah, or bigger than that with lots of cowboy branding, and there'll be the King Ranch edition or whatever, BYD. They're getting good at this stuff, and that's something to watch for sure. All right, well, thanks for listening to the Plugged In Podcast from InsideEVs. We'll be back next Friday. Today's show was produced by Michael Perkins and brought to you by the Motorsport Network.
Make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe to the InsideEVs YouTube channel, and check out all our latest EV coverage on InsideEVs.com. See you next time.
See you next time.
R.I.P. KitKat.